covert militaristic persecution and oppression of the American people by FBI, CIA, NSA, and other affiliated factions consistent with government exposed at aaronjamesstory.com. www.aaronjamesstory.com. Standing here before you today to expose the persecution, societal oppression, repression against the American people by the draconian mechanisms instilled by the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, and other covert factions representative of U.S. imperialism and their vice grip hold on the civil rights, liberties, and the dignities of the American people being rapidly eroded and removed. And for our efforts now, there have been 12 attempts upon my life here as I stand here before you in giving account of our case and the related persecution upon ourselves as exemplary and reflective of these same draconian mechanisms being opposed on the American people as a whole. My name is Aaron James. I'm standing here with my mother, Linda James, here. What you're about to see is the draconian mechanisms exposed. Draconian mechanisms of the U.S. factions in U.S. and in Canada here, imposed upon the common American, the common Canadian citizen. We are amongst the victims of these mechanisms, having been persecuted and attacked, and are exposing this same mechanism imposed on the general populace as a rule. For our efforts, there have now been 12 murder attempts upon our persons here in Winnipeg, Canada, at the hands of Winnipeg police acting illegally on behalf of U.S. authorities in Minneapolis, where we were attacked. And the background is that we were attacked aboard a Northwest Airlines aircraft January 18th of 2006 at an airport where there have been 2 subsequent attacks since, one against 6 humans and one against a 130-pound violinist for the Minneapolis Opera, trying to leave the airport by bicycle, and at an airport which had just finished completing a 6-month profiling project, a racial profiling project in a city within Minneapolis that happens to house the largest Somali, which is a Muslim sect population in all of the United States, and 21 blacks to 1 white in prison within Minneapolis. And for those of you who think this is simply a black issue, I would caution you that this is an issue affecting all Americans. The Ombudsman of New York had her nephew murdered at Phoenix, Arizona airport not too long ago. Robert Dzansky, a Polish man, came to Vancouver to live with his mother October 14th of 2007 and met his death, tased to death by RCMP officers incessantly until he died. That was not too long ago. And there have been many of such egregious attempts and attacks and tasings and brutalities in a state which is becoming more and more resembling a police state where law and order have given way to draconian tyranny. The removal of habeas corpus, Operation Top-Off Charging Bison, the installation of the Security Commissions Act, and HR 1955, which has been called the Thought Crime Bill, which is, technically speaking, it's called the Anti-Radicalism, Anti-Homegrown Terrorism Prevention Act, which targets Americans in America under draconian mechanisms, including the use of force defined as the use of intellectual power to influence others, which would again effectively target media and any activist groups which might oppose the draconian mechanisms that are being imposed upon the common American citizen. We are here to expose this, and again, for our efforts, they are trying to kill us. And they tried last night, once again. Airport in the United States of America in Minneapolis, 2006, January 18th, attacked, left in a pool of blood in the middle of the aisle of an aircraft after my mother here was accused of a suspicious bag, put through a trial with CIA, FBI, NSA, and whatnot on the jury pool. Then family, friends, and associates terrorized thereafter with legal mail sabotage, FBI at home, erased voicemail messages, threats left on answering machines, whatnot, and so forth, and finally kidnapped by Winnipeg police after our online exposure of Winnipeg police associates in the United States within the Minneapolis police on October 27, 2007, in an attempt to silence our online voice through my kidnapping. And wherein they failed on October 27, 2007, because we had managed to communicate with journalist Leslie Hughes, Canadian Dimension magazine, CBC. They had made several other attempts, now 12, and wherein we did not have the evidence of their presence at our home prior, we have the evidence now in witnesses that will be testifying, that I will be displaying in this video in moments to come. And wherein on October 27th they had failed in their attempts, we have also now exposed them. October 27th, they mentioned when they came that Minneapolis, quote unquote, has unfinished business with you. Our boss says that perhaps we should lock you up long enough here for one of them to come up and get you. They were referring to Winnipeg Police Chief Keith McCaskill, a graduate of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Northwest Chapter Federal Bureau of Associates, and according to his bio again, with representation and jurisdiction in law enforcement in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minneapolis, where we were attacked, and Winnipeg, Manitoba, where he's currently practicing as the head of the Winnipeg Police Department. His influence over the United States is simply through affiliation, though, and has no legal jurisdiction. And when they came to my apartment to kidnap and abduct me, it was without warrant and without charges.
And again, that was on October 27th, 2007.
On October 27th, 2007. And what you're about to see before you is the witnesses to this attack. Again, the witness testimony is something that we have not had prior to this as far as the subsequent abduction attempts, but we have it now. August 31st, 2008. That August 31st evening that we came by, we were coming back to check on the apartment, as we periodically do. I've had to find alternate residents to stay because of the fact that there have been now so many kidnapping and murder attempts upon my person here. When we got back to check on the apartment this time, and nearly midnight of August 31st, the very first thing that we noticed as we were coming back is that there was a Winnipeg police cruiser on the opposite side of the street. Eye contact was made with this Winnipeg police cruiser, and he noticed that I was not alone and that I had company in family, in my mother, Linda James, standing here beside me now. And so the police cruiser left very quickly, and we wanted to know, to be sure that there was no mistaking the connection between the presence of that police cruiser and their intentions of harm upon our persons. And so we went across and looked at the area to speak to people who were in the general area, and we found some who were witness to what had taken place. And they told us again that the Winnipeg police had been shining lights and flashlights into my building to take a look to see if they could see inside.
Into your apartment? Into
my very apartment on the front and the side, and had been questioning people standing out in the front, and they'd been there for quite some time. My name is Aaron James. I'm standing here in the hallway to my apartment at 3900 Stradbrook, Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'm here the witness of a crime. The crime this time, however, being committed by the Winnipeg police, the very people in the entity that we assume are there to uphold the law. Well, in fact, they've been breaking it. They've been attempting my murder. And this is the 12th occasion that we are aware of to this date, following January 18th, 2006 U.S. profiling attack, which we thereafter exposed information to that effect, and the corruption within FBI and Northwest Airlines, who are responsible, on AaronJamesStory.com, AaronJamesStory.com, and now Winnipeg Police Exposed.blogspot.com. Again, Winnipeg Police Exposed.blogspot.com for their contribution in working with the Minneapolis police to cover this up, and on their behalf attempting my kidnapping or murder, or my kidnapping to the United States, now a total of 12 times, where they've been here, inside this very building, outside my door, attempting to terrorize me, to terrorize family, and having committed various acts in conjunction with the Minneapolis police, as having tapped people's phone lines, sabotaged our legal mail, had FBI outside my very home here. And whereas there's a difference this time in that we did not have witness to the prior kidnapping attempts at this building prior, this time we do. And I'm standing here speaking to them right now at this very moment in time. And here are those same witnesses now. My mother, Linda James, who is standing outside the same door at my apartment, that being here, apartment 2, and a witness this time, a witness. Whereas Winnipeg Police Chief Keith McCaskill has denied the presence of Winnipeg Police outside our home, has refused to meet with City Councillor Harvey Smith, and denied the August 5th, 2008 presence of July 5th, 2008 presence of 3 Winnipeg police vehicles and 1 ghost car in the back lane outside my apartment. Well, they were also here, that I can attest to, outside my door, because I heard the beeps of their radios and I'd borne witness to their presence. They can no longer deny their presence. Whereas Chief McCaskill sent in a Cam Baldwin in his place to avert and to avoid meeting with City Councillor Harvey Smith, and as an FBI graduate of the Winnipeg of the Northwest Bureau of Associations with representation over Minneapolis, where we were attacked, and Winnipeg here in Manitoba, and therefore at the heart of this, which is attested to by comments made on the first abduction attempt when they said, our boss says Minneapolis police and Minneapolis in the United States have unfinished business with you, and perhaps we should leave you locked up here long enough for them to come and get you. That was the first of now 12 abduction and kidnapping and murder attempts. And thus far, until now, we haven't had the evidence to expose them. But here before me, not only that my mother, an independent witness here standing before me, are witnesses to this August 31st, 2008, and now 12th, and by her account, possibly the 13th, because of what she saw earlier, kidnapping and murder attempts upon my person to hide our account. And here she is to speak with you now.
Hi, I'm me, the witness. I am standing outside Aaron James' door upon witnessing of what I've seen outside with the Winnipeg police shining a flashlight to Aaron James' window. We will go to now.
And my mother here, who is also witness to it, standing inside before us. I'm now going to take us outside of the building, and these same witnesses, both my mother and independent witness, will point to what it is that they saw and describe the event as it unfolded. Here we are now, outside my apartment at 2-390 Stradbrook in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where there have been 12 kidnapping attempts upon my person. I'm standing outside my door, here and here, my mother and the independent witness of whom I spoke. And in fact, there are 2 independent witnesses. There's another independent witness in other video separate from this that is also available. And just to my right here, as I'm scanning over, and we're looking at the very window, my window here, just above the balcony, the front area, the courtyard of my apartment. The very window that I'm shining light on here is the same window that Winnipeg Police were shining light on here just within about an hour ago at midnight this morning of August 31st, 2008. And in fact, Winnipeg Police had gone outside and over to an adjoining building here as well, and to conduct further search. And now I'm going back to the witnesses at hand here in order that they can describe the account as they saw it unfolding before them. And if I can get the independent party with whom I spoke to speak now, as far as what she saw on this evening, and go ahead.
I saw
If you just wait a moment, and go ahead and speak in order that we can all hear very clearly. Go ahead.
I have seen a cop cruiser sit outside out of this building, and they walked out and they started shining flashlights to his window right here, and they started looking for him around this area, these 2 buildings next to his.
So you saw a flashlight outside my building, and if I can just get you to point again, if you can point that you saw, let's get a shot of that. Okay, that they're pointing to my window here. Okay, and that is my window here outside at 2-390 Stradbrook that they were shining this light to, the same one that I just panned over moments ago. And you said you also saw something else. You said that you observed them taking part in some other activity as well.
Yes, they have been they were speaking to some people outside of his apartment right here. They were asking them questions, but I didn't really know what they were asking because I didn't come over here and ask.
So they were asking questions to people outside my apartment, what looked like perhaps to gather information, although we can't be sure. And thank you for your statement and your testimony. And now speaking to my mother, who is here, who would tell us what it is she saw from her perspective at the time this evening.
This evening, we saw a police car parked on the street outside the apartment building. And when that, as we were arriving, the police car stayed parked briefly, and then after a few minutes drove away. And then that's when we asked witnesses in the immediate area what had taken place. And this is what we found.
Thank you very much. Anything you'd like further to add?
This is subsequent to abduction attempt made on July 5th of this year, when 3 police cars and a ghost car were found in the back lane when I came here by taxi once I was made aware that the police were at Aaron's door. And when I arrived, at that point, as I went down the back lane in the taxi, one of the officers exclaimed loudly and quite unhappily, "And there she is," indicating that they recognized me as a concerned party with regard to their activities.
Thank you very much. And this will constitute the evidence that we need here at this time in order to expose the illicit corruption and the covert activities that they have been pursuing towards our harm for now the period of 11 months subsequent to the initial abduction attempt.